Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Andrew Lewis here with GL Rustic Design. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. Instead of just going straight building furniture, we're going to show you. I'm going to show you how I originally build each design. With whatever I cut out in my CNC machine, and also just a few things that I have cut out recently with the CNC machine. All right, so as you can see, my shop is actually pretty empty today, this week. I've got most of my stuff out last weekend. But so here's one thing that I cut out with the CNC machine. It's just a pretty simple haul tree. That back piece it'll be mounted up in this area, so up on the wall. And so then, like I said, it's just a pretty simple haul tree with adjustable hinge doors on the inside. And then so I'm currently working on 3 vanities. So those should be picked up probably one day next week. And then so going over to my CNC machine, this is my Shop Saber Pro 408, made in the USA. It can cut just about anything besides metal. So with this machine, I generally just cut out wood MDF. So mostly what you're going to see me cut out is, so you have the MDF in the back, and then I majority use the cabinet grade birch, the 3/4 material there, and then also the 1/2 inch material there for names and such. And so it's powered by, I have an 80 gallon, if you didn't see my last video, kind of how I get it started up, and of me taking it for delivery. But so when I got it set up, it's powered by an 80 gallon air compressor, ran to a very small air dryer, which I need to upgrade within the next year probably. Go ahead and get a bigger one. And then from there, the air line is ran to the other side. And it feeds the air right down there. And so this machine is super versatile. It's a 4x8 table. It measures generally a little bigger than that. It can cut up to, I usually cut 4x8 sheets of birch is what I normally cut on it. So getting into our design and just kind of a quick startup of how to get the process going. So this is the CNC, the Shop Saber software. It comes, when you order the CNC machine, it comes with the stand, the computer, the monitor. You can order the VFD boxes separate, which that converts to power. They all come 3-phase, and so that kind of converts the power down so that if you don't have 3-phase, you can run the vacuum pump, which is right there, and then the CNC both run off the boxes from the breaker panel to the boxes, and that converts the power to single phase so that you can use it. But jumping into our design for the day, so I had a customer who came to me, and so he wanted a 10-foot wide cabinet bookshelf. So this is something he usually sketched up. I generally don't sketch things up. I have enough pictures online now that most people just kind of pick from that. But when you first begin, it sometimes makes it a little easier, especially if you're a visual person. I'm not. I can think of this stuff in my head and just go with it. So, so this is going to be 2 pieces. So you're going to have the 40-inch piece for the bottom, then you're going to have the rest for the top, and so you're going to have cabinet doors on each side, and then you're going to have the drawers in the middle. I think it's going to end up being like 4 drawers down the middle, and then you're going to have multiple shelves up top. I think it's going to end up being like 3 or 4 shelves, and then you're going to have the top piece that sits on top. And so this will be able to be connected together. So it's really, I'm making it 2 pieces, so it's easily, so that you can transport it, so they can load it from my shop, get it in his house, get it set up, screwed back together. And so this week's video will be of kind of how I design it, me cutting it out. And then so next week's video will be me putting it together, showing you how to put it together, and so on. And so when you jump into, so I use VCarve Pro for all my drawing needs. And really, to make something, it's as simple as a bunch of squares, a bunch of rectangles, and so on. You just gotta have all your dimensions down pat. So, I'll start by saying, so it's going to be 7 sheets. And as you can see, I put the name on all of my pieces, so that when I can go back and reference the drawing and see, what fits where and so on. So as you see, this says middle shelf, so this will be the middle divider on the top that separates the 2 shelves. And so I actually have a piece big enough in my scrap sitting over there that I can cut this out. So I'm actually not going to cut this out. So it's just going to be the 6 pieces of birch that cuts this whole thing out. So we'll just start from from the sides. So when I'm designing the sides, so like I said, so normally this would be this piece, this top piece here would be sitting on top of something in here, and so this would go straight up the side for the side of the bookshelf. But since I'm making this as 2 completely separate pieces, I'm designing it as such too. So you can see it has the bottom, so this is each side of the bottom, and then this is each side of the top. So these are approximately like 20 inches wide, and then so these are 12 inches wide. The reason why it's 12 is so that once you have the back will be 3/4. So once you take 3/4 off of 12, that's 11 1/4, and then from there, I would typically use, if I wasn't going to use birch here, I would use 1x12 pine for the shelving, but I'm going to end up using birch for this one. But so I would make it 11 1/4, so that I could just take a 1x12 piece of pine and not have to alter it any. I could just cut it and put it up there. So, and then so going into the back. So this is when I say back, base back, that's going to be the back of the cabinet. I thought about making this Luan, but I'll probably just leave it like it is and just leave it, just leave it this cabinet grade, just to really make it a little bit more sturdy. And then also the top back. So this will end up being 4 pieces because I can only cut up to 8-foot piece wide on the CNC machine. And so me trying to hide the seam that goes down the middle. So this whole seam area there will be hidden because it will fit right in the middle. And so that you won't be able to see the seam at all that runs down the middle. And so each shelf, there's going to be 8 shelves. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4 up there. So once you get your 8 shelves, so this is really only going to be 4 shelves total. But like I mentioned, it's 10. If this was an 8-foot wide bookcase, and then I would just cut the pieces, whatever, 7.5 foot, 7 3/4, whatever the measurement comes out to be. But this one is, like I said, it's almost 10 foot, so it's like 9.5 foot. The wood doesn't come that big, so I had to think, how can I cut it to hide things and such and such. So the shelf itself, like I said, so there's 2 of these per 1 shelf. So it's going to end up being like 4. So there's going to be like 3 shelves plus the top. One of these will end up being the top. So it's going to be 3 total shelves, 4 for the top, and then you're going to have a piece of pine that acts as the top of the base, if you say. So, yeah, I mean, so it's a pretty simple cutout. I've been doing this long enough that I kind of have all this down pat of how I want the measurements to be and such. But so this is the inside of the cabinet wall. I'm going to come back and put pinholes down the 3 inches off each side, and so this will act as the adjustable shelf. So But yeah, so once you get this all drawn out, so like I said, so it's just pretty much to get this to cut out, you just highlight the whole thing, or highlight just the squares. You leave all the letters off, and then when you go over here to your profile cut, it's all going to be 0.755 inches deep. Always change that to 3 passes, and when you hit calculate, it's just going to cut through, which is fine because you want it to cut through just a little bit. Preview your cut, and so that's going to be your cut. So that's going to be your pieces that you're going to cut out of the sheet on V-carve. So like I said, once you get the hang of it, it's pretty simple. I'm not going to lie, it took me a few weeks to really get this down. But so when you get into the actual CNC software, so first thing I do when I come in, I have to walk over here. I have to turn the air on to the CNC machine. I have to plug in both outlets that goes to my computer and my CNC itself. And then so from there, I would come over here to my breaker box and I would flip both my breakers to turn on my vacuum pump and the spindle for the CNC machine. And then once you do that, the very first thing you have to do is you have to tell the CNC, because when it turns on, it has no idea where it's at. So in order for it to find where it's at, they have a home button. So when you click on home, this tells the machine, hey, go to 0, 0, which is going to be right down there, the X and Y quadrant. So just for example, when you click home, so I clicked it, it brings up the code, then it comes over here and it starts moving. As you can see, it goes up, down, left to right, and then ultimately, so the goal is when you turn the machine off is you want to get it as close to 0, 0 as you can, because it'll take forever to go from the front to the back. But so like I said, it goes all the way to the front, finds its 0 there, and then it goes all the way to the left, finds the 0 there, and then once you've homed it, you're done as far as that step goes. So you also, so once you've homed the machine, you have to start the warm-up process. So I'm going to be cutting for the next few hours, trying to cut all this out. So you have to warm the spindle head up so that you don't damage anything. So I typically I'll just use one of the V-bits because I know I'm going to end up using this to touch off to find my XY. So let's go ahead and put that in. And then so you can I actually have the ATC, which is, so it has the 1 through 10 down here. So it has the 1 through 10, and typically this bit would be down in here. It would be sitting in there just like that. And you can tell the machine, hey, go pick up T1, and it goes and picks it up. And it does everything automatically. So, but just for demonstration purposes, so this little green button on the side, you press it, then you just put your bit in, and then you're done with that step. So once you get done with that, you come back over the machine, you adjust it, and then you hit that warm up button that's right there. And so what that does, that carries it to the middle and it starts warming up. So you can see down here, it'll go from 12,000 RPMs all the way up to 24,000 RPMs. I think it's like 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes. I don't know the exact number. But so that just warms the spindle head up. And then when you get done with that step, you can, you have to find the XY, and then you have to find your Z. So we'll let it warm up, and then we'll go from there, and we'll continue. All right, so now that we're done with the warm-up process, I want to set my spindle back down to, I don't know, 16-ish thousand RPMs. This is kind of what I run at. I've still really not figured out my speeds and whatnot for this thing. But one of the coolest features about the Shop Saver is it has a pins button. And so what that pins button does is you see my sheet of birch that I've put up here. You'll see these little pins pop up. See them? And then so what that allows me to do is align my sheet of birch perfectly on the machine. And so all you have to do is to push it on. And then so like I said, it perfectly aligns that sheet of birch. And then so from here, I will just kind of, so from here I have to align my XY axis and then my Z axis. So from there, so pretty much what I do, I'll lower this bit down. You'll see it come down, and I'll touch the corner, define the most zero point of this whole thing. There. So that's pretty close there. And so back just a little bit and then so once I've got that part done, I come back and it has a touch-off tool. And so this tells me the Z-axis, so how far it has to go down. And so here I'm going to be using the bit that I'm actually going to cut out with. And so this is the 1/4-inch compression bit. And so what that does, I'll just set it up there and then let it pop out. So when you're standing at the computer, that's just the Auto Z feature. That's what this does. And that gives you exactly where it needs to be. And then from there, you're ready to go. You put your dust sock on, your dust collector, your dust boot, this is what it's called. Okay. Then when you go from there, just kind of set everything back over here. And so after this point, it gets pretty loud. So I'll walk over here on my VDF box. I'll hit start on there. That turns the vacuum on. Then I have to go over there, turn my dust collector on, which I need to upgrade that one. It does fine, but I do most definitely need a bigger one. Upgrade my dust collector, and then I'll show you all the cutting process.
If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out. It really helps me grow as a very small business. So here you can see my machine. I could probably run it a lot faster than it does, but I'm still figuring out the speeds and the feeds, and trying to figure out how to operate it at its best. But you can see I'm cutting the 3/4 birch. I'm just cutting, really all I do with it is I cut out a bunch of squares and rectangles. So and as you can see here, there's all the pieces that I had shown you how I designed those up in VCarve Pro. And then so you turn the vacuum off and you take your pieces off. It's as simple as that. Thank you.